Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, 2 Philippine supply boats finally reached Ayungin shoal, but Defense Chief Delfin Lorenzana says the recent water cannon incident is an affront to the Filipino people. More presidential and vice presidential bets submit themselves to drug testing as President Duterte stands by claims of a cocaine-using presidential aspirant. And later, up close and personal, the challenges of running for the country's second top post. Vice presidential aspirant and Senate President Tito Sotto joins us live. The 2 Philippine supply boats have finally reached Ayungin shoal following the Maritime incident involving the Chinese Coast Guard last week. While there was no untoward incident this time around, Defense Chief Delfin Lorenzana says Chinese vessels are still lingering in the area. How can we better protect our territory from China's incursions? Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Vice Presidential Aspirant and Senate President Tito Sotto. Tito Sen, welcome to The Source. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Thank you, Pinky. Good morning. Maraming salamat. Thank you. This is my nth time on The Source, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, you've always been quite available and gracious. Thank you, Tito Sen. First, I wanted to ask you, because I had Senator Ping yesterday in The Source also, and we talked about at length what happened in Ayungin shoal and, of course, the West Philippine Sea. How come you weren't with Senator Ping when he visited Pagasa Island?
Well, Tuesday, we had a hearing of the Department of National Defense. And then after the budget deliberations or interpellations of the National Defense Department, nagkaroon ng mga picture taking. And I was beside Secretary Lorenzana. We even had a conversation and the usual fist bump. And then the following day, they told us that he sent a message that he tested positive for COVID-19. So automatically, the Senate doctors recommended that all of us who were near Secretary Lorenzana would go into at least a 5-day semi-quarantine. After the 5th day, you must get your own RT-PCR test. So that falls on Saturday evening. Saturday morning yung lakad nila Ping. I didn't want to jeopardize everybody by joining them, and then all of a sudden I will be tested positive.
Okay.
All right. I played it safe. I wanted to go. I really wanted to go. I wish I did.
Do you plan to make a visit though?
Well, one of these days, if necessary, or if time permits, or the situation calls for it, we will.
Yeah, Tito Sen, I asked that because as I mentioned a while ago, we talked at length what is the situation in Pagasa Island. There are a number of recommendations from Senator Ping Lacson that sounded quite siguro something that can be implemented. And but so you can visit probably one of these days if time permits. But let me just shift first to what happened in Ayungin shoal, because as of yesterday, the civilian boats have actually reached the BRP Sierra Madre that is there in Ayungin shoal for the resupply efforts. I wanted first to ask you, as Senate President, how do you feel when news broke out regarding the Philippine boats being water cannoned by the Chinese Coast Guard on their way to Sierra Madre?
Well, I was irritated and sad at the same time, because they're supposed to be our neighbors. We should be friendly with our neighbors. But what the Chinese Coast Guard is showing is that they do not have any regard for anything else except what they think is their property. So at this point, really, I already filed a bill that declares the maritime zones of the Philippines. Kung sila may 9-dash line, tayo mayroon din dapat. So I filed the bill, the Maritime Zones Act, and Senator Lacson, as a matter of fact, is co-authoring the bill. It seeks to preserve and protect the country's sovereign rights in the in the area. It's in our area, in the West
The
Philippine
West
Sea.
Philippine Sea. Yeah.
And this is in the face of increased Chinese militarization in the West Philippine Sea. But even before that, I filed it about 2 months ago. Dahil nga medyo na hindi maganda ang pinakikita sa atin ng China.
Okay.
So let's have our own map, similar to the China's 9-line. Let's insist on our maritime zone. And then also, I think the best thing to do is to review the MDT, the Mutual Defense Treaty, and the EDCA, the Enhanced Defense Cooperative Agreement. And that could probably be a sign to our neighbor that we have a big brother that can help us in the area. Because, Pinky, let me be very clear on why this area is very important. It's the Highway 54 or the EDSA or the C5, whatever you want to call it, of trade in the South China Sea and in the West Philippine Sea. International trade goes through there. So hindi pa pwedeng sasabihin mo, angkin mo lang, basta nagdeklara ka ng sabihin mo, ito amin. As far as the Philippines is concerned, we should be very protective of our rights, of our property, of our sovereignty. And then also there is this underlying thing also that the area is very rich. Natural gas, oil, and all stuff. So
Rich in gas and minerals.
We have to be very strong about it.
That seems to be a very important bill, Tito Sen. Ano po? Let me ask you, what is the likelihood of that being passed before you end this particular Congress?
Best effort on the part of the Senate, because it is, and hopefully the House of Representatives will be very supportive, because this is based, the bill that I filed is based on the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or the UNCLOS. And then we have also the arbitral ruling to back us up. Di ba? So hopefully, and I hope the President will even issue a certification of urgency.
Is there a counterpart at the House of Representatives already regarding this bill?
I'm not sure. I'll check on my NPC party mates if one of them has already filed it. I don't think.
Very briefly, Tito Sen,
There might be already.
This reminds me of a news item way back. I'm not sure, sir, when. It just came to mind right now that I believe it was Secretary Esperon who also wanted to declare these areas as, I think it was called, or it is called supposedly maritime protected areas. So somehow it becomes a little bit similar to me, no? Although I don't know the fine print of your Maritime Zone Act. Pero ibig ko sabihin, kung nandiyan na po si Secretary Esperon, obviously, who's part of the executive branch, who has a similar mindset, wouldn't it be very important and urgent right now to be able to have this bill passed before you end this particular Congress?
Yes, as a matter of fact, when I resume the sessions at 3 o'clock, I will make it a point to talk to our Foreign Relations Committee Chair, Senator Pimentel, and then our National Defense Chair, Senator Ping Lacson, and hope to prioritize the measure, because we will have enough time to take it up by next week or the week after. We will be in session until, well, of course, we will be probably having the period of amendments December 1, holiday in 30, December 1. The LBRMO is now finishing the interpellations and the proposed amendments. And then that means by December 6, we would be able to tackle it. And we have quite a few days to do that, because the break is on December 17. The budget should have been signed by the President by that time already. And then when we come back in January, 18 or 19, if I'm not mistaken. We still have enough time. There will be more
Okay.
4 weeks before the campaign break. It's really possible,
Okay.
especially in the light of what's happening there right now.
Opo. Because I want to add what happened, Tito Sen, what happened yesterday. According to Secretary Delfin Lorenzana, dumating na po yung mga resupply boats. Pero ang sabi po niya, something that I watched yesterday, that the Chinese Coast Guard allegedly sent a rubber boat with 3 persons who were actually taking videos and photos of the activity there. Ibig sabihin, from my understanding, sir, is that pagdating ng resupply boat, nagpadala ng rubber boat yung Chinese Coast Guard, sakay-sakay ang Chinese nationals, minomonitor, binivideo, pinipicturean ko ano yung dinadalang supply boat at inilalagay doon po sa BRP Sierra Madre. Is that even acceptable?
There is I have a tendency to think that the upper ups of China know about this. Hindi pa pwedeng sila-sila lang sa Chinese Coast. Pwede rin na sila-sila lang yan. Gustong umepal ng mga Coast Guard nila. No? But then again, I think the Department of Foreign Affairs, headed by Secretary Teddy Boy Locsin, has already sent strong-worded issue or complaints on the matter that has happened. Dapat alam na ng higher ups nila to na nangyayari na to. So pag ganun pa rin, may mga pa-monitor pa, and then we have this text na pinapadala sa mga dumadating doon sa area, di ba? May mga radio warnings pa. Alam nila yan. Alam nila yan. Medyo, I hate to say it, but they're practically bullying us. May sinasabi ng presidente nila, di raw sila nagbubuli ng maliit na bansa. Sino binubuli nila? Malaking bansa. Takot nga sila dun eh.
All right. Senate President Tito Sotto, we need to take a very short break. The source will be right back. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, Vice Presidential Aspirant and Senate President Tito Sotto. Tito Sen, so in summary, it's this, no? You're saying that you want to pass this Maritime Zone Act and then kailangan pong i-review ang Mutual Defense Treaty and EDCA. But is there anything else that can be done? I'm not sure if this is if this could be part of it, but nagkakaroon ho ba or pinag-uusapan ho ba among the senators yung tinatawag na sense of the Senate? Because, well, just to add, no, our boats were water cannon. Umalis, ngayon pinayagan, they allowed us to be able to resupply. Pero ganun na lang ho ba yun? Pagkatapos sa water cannon, okay na kasi pinayagan naman tayong bumalik at nakapag-resupply na sa BRP Sierra Madre?
You just gave me a very good idea. I think we should come up with the sense of the Senate. It will probably back up the statements made by the Department of Foreign Affairs or the letters that they have sent them. And by the way, I just checked during the break. There is a counterpart bill in the House of Representatives. I'm just checking on who is the principal author in the House, but I can get in touch with the Speaker Velasco within the day and ask him to help us prioritize the measure.
All right. Just quickly, the 2022 budget, what is the status? Because there, kagabi po may tinweet ho ata si Senator Gatchalian na one stage of the 2022 budget has been finished.
Yes, the most taxing part of any bill is the period of interpellations, and it was terminated last night. So our chairman, Senator Sani Angara, chairman of the Committee on Finance, asked us to submit our amendments even as early as yesterday. So we were starting to send already our amendments. And then today they will be accepting it. The LBRMO will be incorporating it. Senator Sani Angara will bring it up. probably later or next week. And that means he will be accepting it on the floor. We will be submitting the amendments also in plenary and not just to the committee. Hindi masyado matagal yun. Matagal lang yun if ever there is a controversy on any amendments to be proposed. Otherwise, the interpellations period, as I said, is the most difficult of all, has been terminated.
Crucial.
We're now in the period of amendment.
When do you think, Senate President, the budget will be passed?
By December 1, hopefully. As far as the Senate is concerned, we will be finished, I hope, by December 1. And then the bicameral conference committee will kick in. I will be delegating already a number of our senators to be members of the BICAM. Ang prediction namin would be siguro mga 7 to 10 days ang BICAM between the House and us. And that would mean by December 10 or 11, at the most, we would be ratifying the Bicameral Conference Committee report. And I will be, after Speaker Velasco signs it, I will sign the copy that will be sent to the President. So that will give the President enough time to review before December 17, if he plans to sign it by December 17.
All right. Let me shift topics, Tito Sen. The controversial statement of President Rodrigo Duterte on a presidential aspirant who allegedly is taking drugs. Kayo po ni Senator Ping, I think 2 days ago nagpa-test po kayo. Si Senator Manny Pacquiao, meron din pong pinadalang test, but I believe this was taken sometime in September, but this was supposed to be a very comprehensive one for athletes. Si presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos also sent his results also negative din po. I know that if we go back to history, alam naman po natin you're chairman of the Dangerous Drugs Board, etc. You've been fighting illegal drugs for a very long time. But what is the sure way? I guess that's what I want to find out, that a presidential aspirant or a vice presidential aspirant at that is not taking illegal drugs. I ask that, sir, because you very well know that if it's a urine sample, after a couple of days, 72 hours, hindi na po daw, allegedly nakikita yan sa sample taken.
Not with the multi-drug immunomeric assay, as they call it. To be very sure, the best thing is what we did, what Senator Lacson and I did. You go to PIDEA, you give your sample there in their presence, and they use the multi-drug numeric assay testing kit. It's not just like the regular testing kits. It is a testing kit for all type of illegal drugs, not just for cocaine or shabu or marijuana. Very encompassing. So that is the best thing. Instead of taking drug test for your question is what is the specific way, para sigurado? Because I firmly believe that the leaders of our country should be drug free. We should lead by example and by conviction. And how can the people believe us if we're gonna do that? No. So I've always undergone voluntary drug testing every time I run, because I placed it in the law that I authored, the Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002, Republic Act 9165. Only it was shut down by the Supreme Court because unconstitutional daw, because nakalagay daw those who will seek public office must be Filipino citizen and know how to read and write lang. Walang sinabi doon na ibang qualification. So inalis nila yon, no? But I originally placed it in the law. So ginagawa ko na lang voluntary. Ngayon, as I said, to answer your question, the best thing is to undergo the multi-drug. Para sigurado yung mga kababayan natin. And you go to PDEA or you go to the PNP Crime Lab. Sila ang mga meron nun eh. As a matter of fact, all the PDEA regional offices, I think, have this, the multi-drug assay, kung tawagin. Yun ang pinaka-accurate sa lahat. No?
I see. Okay. All right. Again, we need to take a very short break. The source will be right back. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, Vice Presidential Aspirant and Senate President Tito Sotto. Tito Sen, this is the part where we go up close and personal with you. This is what, these are the questions, just answerable by yes or no. At tinatanong po namin to sa lahat ng nai-interview namin ng mga kumakandidato. So let me begin. It's just a yes or no answer. Do you favor easier public access to SAL-Ns of the President, Vice President, and members of Congress?
Again, sorry, what was that? Do I favor?
Do you favor easier public access to the SAL-N of the President, Vice President, and other members of Congress?
Yes, we did it in the Senate.
Next, sir, do you support lifting foreign ownership limits in the Constitution?
Yes.
Next, do you favor, ay alam ko na sagot dito, the reimposition of death penalty for drug-related crimes, but for drug-related crimes?
Well, I cannot answer that with a yes or no now. Yes before, but I found the bill to answer the problem of the issue of death penalty. I already we passed it in the Senate already. It's in the House of Representatives. It's establishing a national penitentiary for high-level drug traffickers and heinous criminals. Ihiwalay natin sila. Parang death penalty na rin yun without the death penalty.
Okay. Should a sitting president be allowed to run for vice president in the next election?
I don't think so. No.
Do you favor resuming peace talks with communist rebels?
In the barangay level, in the lower level, not in the IRFs. They're not being followed anyway. We should have peace talks. Hello.
And this is, should the country be more aggressive in protecting its maritime interests in the West Philippine Sea?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Tito Sen, that's a part of our up close and personal segment, but I wanted to ask this, of course. Kayo po ay tumatakbo ngang Vice President, and in the recent surveys, kayo po yung nangunguna. Here comes Mayor Sara Duterte running for Vice President. Is this going to make your campaign more difficult? And how do you feel about her joining the vice presidential race?
Senator Lacson and I have already decided, even as early as July, therefore August, we made the decision that we have a program, we have a platform that we're offering to the people. We're focused on that, and our campaign is programmed already, all the way to May of 2022. It does not matter to us who else is running. We've said that before, and we have an agreement that we will not talk about those other candidates who are running or are competing with us in the same position. Ganun yung sitwasyon namin. So therefore, whoever else is running, we are focused on what we need to do and what we need to campaign with and for.
I do remember those statements coming from you and Senator Ping Lacson. One last question, sir, that came to mind. With what is happening so far, it is only November, the elections are in 6 months. This unification formula, initially proposed by Senator Ping Lacson, what I want to find out from you is this. Should this be reconsidered sometime in March, again, or even in April?
I doubt if we should reconsider it already. We've discussed it twice. And apparently, those that we have talked with or talked to, ano lang they're in favor of unification, pero with them as the lead. So it doesn't sit with us. The original proposal of Senator Lacson was that, okay, all of us will file. We have one or two regular or candidates, and then pagdating ng mga March, we'll find out kung sino yung malakas doon tayo. But they rejected that. So I don't think it is possible, because during the second meeting naman we had with the others, ganun din sinasabi is that they have the best chance of winning. Parang ganun So I don't think the unification talks will materialize.
Vice Presidential Aspirant and Senate President Tito Sotto. Tito Sen, as always, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Yes, ma'am. My pleasure. Thank you very much. Good morning. Mabuhay.
Take care, sir, and thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.